Alexander Volkanovski is sneaking into the doorsteps of greatness, whether you like it or not. And I think that's a big part of what people are missing leaving UFC 266. Yes, his performance against Brian Ortega was phenomenal. Yes, one of the most exciting fights of his career. I mean, certainly, probably the most exciting fight of his career. Probably one of the most exciting fights that we've seen at a championship level at 145 pounds. Yes, Brian Ortega is super tough. Yes, Volkanovski's ability to get out of submissions is ridiculous. Yes, all that is valid. But I think people are not really realizing what's around the corner. Hello, everyone. My name is Danny Segura. As you guys know, I'm a reporter for MMAJunkie.com. And I'm here to tell you why you should respect Alexander Volkanovski and also to preview what could very well be in the future, in the near future, around the corner. Because I don't think people are really realizing what's happening here in the career of Alexander Volkanovski. So, I want to let you know why Alexander Volkanovski is on the verge of turning a corner and becoming an all-time great and entering that conversation of the GOAT. A lot of people think it's just a given. It's between two people, Jose Aldo and Max Holloway, and everyone else is far behind. Well, I think that could very soon change, and here's what. So there's three corners that Volkanovski is really turning here, especially with this fight against Brian Ortega. Two that are fairly minor, but I think help in his case to become an all-time great and certainly a fan favorite. And one that's certainly way more important, and I think that's what sort of holds the substance of this video. But real quick, I just want to touch up on the first two. One, turning a corner style-wise. I think what we saw at UFC 266 was very Volkanovski-esque, right? A lot of leg kicks, great timing, great movement, great shot selection, really good strategy and just fight IQ. But I think there was a little bit extra that was there that was not present in his previous fights. And that's his willingness to take more risks, right? We saw in that round, in that third round, I believe, that he got caught with that guillotine choke, that nasty guillotine choke from Brian Ortega. Dude, that was a really bad moment for Volkanovski, and he admitted it at the press conference. He told reporters, look, that was an oh fuck, I'm about to lose my belt type moment. And he like gargled and made some weird noises, but got out. And he had already put in a beating on Brian Ortega and already had shown a fantastic display of skill. And it was already an exciting fight. I think if he would have coasted for the rest of a round and a half, I don't think anybody would have hated it. And I don't think anybody would have been pissed leaving that fight, saying that fight sucked. It would have still been an amazing fight. Yet again, he goes back to the well, takes the fight to Brian Ortega, and goes straight to the ground with no reservation whatsoever. His risk kind of cost him there as he almost got caught with a triangle choke, gets out again, and do you think he learned his lesson? Nope, he's still out to make a statement and put on a show and just put a beating on Brian Ortega and kept the ground and pound going with no fear of getting caught in another submission attempt, which was obviously very close, especially the first one with the guillotine. That was something that was not really present in Volkanovski's previous fights. It just wasn't. He just fought to win, and obviously that's the name of the game. But now he's fighting for a little bit more than a victory. He's fighting to prove he's the best. He's fighting to make a statement. He's fighting for respect. Even though that might not be his end game, that might not be his all, there's certainly a little bit more fire in him now as far as risk management, which is fun. Second point, as far as from a promotional standpoint, I'm not saying he's the best trash talk. I'm not saying he's pulling off a Conor McGregor card, but he's certainly playing a little bit more ball than he used to, right? He's obviously willing to fuel up and fire up a rivalry as he did against Brian Ortega. He's not afraid to be the heel and sort of be the bad guy and be the instigator. He even said it again at the post-fight press conference. He's like, from now on, I'm going to be the heel. And he was kind of laughing and kidding, but it was kind of like, no, really, I'm going to be a little bit more fiery and a little bit more, I guess, entertaining as far as the buildup goes. And that's not, again, those 2 points are very minor. I think if somebody just is extremely technical and not a trash talker, I think a good example we've seen on that very same card is Valentina Shevchenko. Although I find her fights exciting, you can still achieve the GOAT status by just simply racking up victories and fueling up the stats. But certainly we can't deny that the magic behind a beautiful finish or in a very exciting fight or something like that adds a little bit to the conversation. But again, that's neither here or there. The important part that I want to talk about this video is the final and last corner that I think Alexander Volkanovski is on the verge of turning, which is a very important one. That's legacy. Again, the conversation for the greatest of all time at featherweight at 145 pounds is between two people, Jose Aldo and Max Holloway. By now, you guys know I'm on the Jose Aldo camp, although I acknowledge that Max Holloway definitely deserves to be in that conversation. I think whatever route you go, that's the conversation. I don't think you can have that conversation with anybody else. Well, I'm here to inform you that Volkanovski has a dominant win over Aldo and 2 wins over Max Holloway, okay? And a third fight with Max Holloway is looming. He's booked right now, Holloway's, against Jair Rodriguez. First of all, that fight might not even happen. Jair Rodriguez pulls out of a lot of fights, and a lot of his fights just fall apart. So maybe Holloway doesn't even end up fighting Rodriguez in the first place and go straight to a trilogy with Volkanovski. That's a certain possibility. But let's say they do fight. Who would you favor? Look, I love Jair Rodriguez. He's got all the potential in the world, a very exciting style, but I think we can all respect the former champion and say that he's likely the favorite by a good amount entering that fight. So he'll likely get a win there if all goes well, especially given this latest version that he's shown, against Kelvin Kattar. I mean, just absolutely hitting different levels of his game. So those two, Volkanovski and Holloway, will meet again. And let's say Volkanovski beats, which he already did twice, a third time, Holloway. How can you have a conversation about the GOAT with Holloway and Jose Aldo and not replace Holloway with Volkanovski, considering that he would have a third victory over him? And that's certainly not far-fetched. It's very, very possible that happens. In that sense, now you're talking about the guy that has a win over the guy that people think he's the GOAT, and 3 wins over the other guy that people think he's the GOAT. So, look, I know we don't see it now, but I think in a fight or two, especially if that trilogy fight with Holloway happens, and if he beats him again, that's going to change the conversation. And he's sneaking into that GOAT talk. Very much like Kamaru Usman did at 170 pounds. Let's not forget, at some point, he was just a good champion, a good fighter. And all of a sudden, it's like day and night, a few title defenses in, and all of a sudden, we're comparing him with GSP, with Matt Hughes. I think he's still third in that category, as far as the greatest of all time at 170. But let's keep in mind, GSP's career is over, and it's here. Matt Hughes' career is over, and it's here. And Kamaru Usman is creeping up, and he still has time and potential to change that conversation around. I think that's very much the position that Alexander Volkanovski finds himself in. Again, I know a lot of people don't see it right now, but he's sneaking into the GOAT talk. 20-fight winning streak, UFC champion, dominant win over Jose Aldo, 2 wins over Max Holloway, potentially a third, as they're bound to face again. Keep this in mind. I think this video might be a little bit unpopular, a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but keep it in mind in the next year or so. I think the conversation is going to change greatly, especially, obviously, if Volkanovski keeps winning. So let me know your thoughts if Volkanovski can change the conversation and become an all-time great, and if I'm crazy or not, that we're really just around the corner of putting him in that talk. So let me know, like and subscribe. Thank you.